today we're diving into the life of someone truly legendary, Marie Curie. Now, her story isn't just about test tubes and laboratories. It's an epic tale of grit, of discovering a whole new world no one could see, and of a legacy that, well, it literally radiates to this day. So let's get into it. Just think about it for a second. What would it be like to discover something totally invisible, something with the power to change, well, everything we thought we knew about the universe? That's not science fiction. That's exactly what Marie Curie did. She peeked behind the curtain of reality, and what she found was just staggering. We're talking about discovering not one, but two brand new elements. She didn't just add to the science books, she completely rewrote them. This work earned her 2 Nobel Prizes, you heard that right, 2, and she even used her discoveries to save countless lives. This is the story of a true titan. So how did she do it? Well, to really get it, we have to go back to the beginning. Back to a time when her dream of becoming a scientist was pretty much impossible. This is the story of her journey, from a repressed Poland all the way to the famous university halls of Paris. Okay, so picture this. It's 1867, and Maria Sklodowska, that's her birth name, is born in Warsaw. At the time, Poland is under Russian rule, and opportunities for girls to get a real education were, well, they just didn't exist. But her passion for science and math, nothing could stop that. So she made a huge, life-changing move. She went to Paris to study at the Sorbonne. And this really lays out the massive conflict she was up against. On one side, you have the world telling her, no, women can't go to university. It's not for you. But on the other side, you have Marie's burning ambition to be a scientist. It was her against the entire system, and you can probably guess who won. All right, so she makes it to Paris, and this is where her life takes an incredible turn. She wasn't just going to study science. She was about to invent a whole new field of it, all by digging into this weird, invisible energy that had other scientists stumped. The whole scientific world was buzzing about this thing Henri Becquerel had found. See, he noticed that some materials, like uranium, were just emitting these mysterious invisible rays all by themselves. It was a huge puzzle, and for Marie, it was irresistible. She and her partner, Pierre Curie, decided this was it. This was what they were going to figure out. This thing, this energy, it needed a name, and she gave it one: radioactivity. So what is it? Basically, it's a process where atoms just spontaneously shoot out energy. Now, that might not sound crazy to us today, but back then, it was a bombshell. Everyone thought atoms were these tiny, solid, unchangeable things. Her idea suggested they could actually fall apart. Her work was just relentless. First, she and Pierre went through tons, I mean literally tons, of a mineral ore called pitchblende. They did this in a drafty, leaky shack, mind you, and after all that backbreaking work, they managed to isolate a tiny pinch of a brand new element. She named it polonium, after her home country, Poland. But they weren't done yet. Oh no. They kept going and found a second, even more energetic element: radium. Just let that sink in for a second. Finding 2 new elements? That's not just adding a couple of squares to the periodic table. This discovery completely turned science on its head. It proved that atoms weren't permanent little building blocks. They could decay, change, and release a staggering amount of energy. The atomic age? It basically starts right here. So when you make discoveries that literally change the world, people are going to notice. This next part of her story is just filled with these incredible, unprecedented achievements, but also with this deep, driving desire to use her science to actually help people. And sure enough, in 1903, the biggest prize in science comes calling. Marie Curie, her husband Pierre, and Henri Becquerel together win the Nobel Prize in Physics for their groundbreaking work on radioactivity. An amazing achievement. But was she done? Not even close. Get this, just 8 years later, in 1911, she does it again. She wins a second Nobel Prize, but this time it's in chemistry. And it's all hers. She won it for discovering radium and polonium. This made her the very first person ever to win 2 Nobel Prizes. I mean, let's just recap how absolutely historic this is. She was the first woman to ever win a Nobel. Then she becomes the first person to win 2. And, just to top it off, she's the first person to win in 2 completely different fields of science, physics and chemistry. It's just an absolutely mind-blowing record. But here's what's so incredible about Marie Curie. For her, it was never about the awards or the fame. She had this deep core belief that science wasn't just for labs and books. The whole point of it was to help people. and she was about to get a chance to prove that belief on a global scale. When World War I breaks out, what does she do? She doesn't retreat into her lab, no way. She takes her knowledge and puts it to work. She figures out how to build mobile X-ray machines. They were nicknamed Little Curies. And she drives them to the front lines herself. She went right into the battle zones, helping doctors find bullets and shrapnel in wounded soldiers. She saved thousands and thousands of lives. But this incredible story of triumph has a shadow. Her amazing dedication came with a very, very high price. And to really understand her legacy, we have to talk about that cost. You see, all that passion, all that time spent working with these powerful new materials, it had a consequence. Back then, nobody knew how dangerous radiation was. The very elements that made her famous were, silently, harming her every single day. It's this unbelievable paradox, isn't it? The promise of her work was immense. It gave us modern physics and led to things like radiation therapy to fight cancer. But the peril was just as real. She worked with no protection at all, and in 1934 she died from a disease caused by all that exposure. To this day, her notebooks are still so radioactive that you have to keep them in lead-lined boxes. So when you boil it all down, why is she still such a hero to so many? It really rests on these four huge pillars. She completely changed science. She helped create modern medicine. She smashed barriers, proving to the world that your gender has nothing to do with how brilliant you are. And her story, it just inspires generations of people to keep pushing no matter what. And maybe her whole outlook on life is best summed up by her own words. Nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood. What a powerful idea. For her, curiosity was the cure for fear. It's what drove her to look into the darkness, to find the light, no matter the obstacles. Her story really makes you think, doesn't it? What other invisible worlds are out there, just waiting for someone curious enough to look? And it makes you wonder, what could you discover about the world or about yourself if you just decided that you would never, ever give up?